everybody, and welcome back to the channel once again. We've been gone for a little while, but now we're back and better than ever. Going to be uploading once every 2 weeks, and we're going to jump right back into the crypto space, and we're going to talk first about the proof of reserves concept. There's been a lot of controversy about transparency and privacy in the crypto space recently due to the whole FTX debacle and other collapses and rug pulls in the industry. So we thought it best to touch on this and ensure that you guys know how proof of reserves can help to eliminate these factors that are causing some doubt in people. So I hope you stick around and enjoy this video. It's a really good one and good to understand the foundations of this stuff. And we'll be pivoting more into this kind of content in the near future. So thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome back to the channel. This week we're talking about proof of reserves, and we're going to take a look at the crypto industry a little bit closer. After way too many horrible exchange collapses during the infamous FTX scandal that we've heard about on the news extensively, which was orchestrated by its founder, as we more commonly know as SBF, or Sam Bankman-Fried. The crypto world has turned on a dime, and it has done this in order to implement layers of transparency in this space, with concerns over more collapses like this. Exchanges have been working to develop a method through which they are able to prove that customers' funds are in fact held as reserves at the exchange itself and are not being used for other purposes such as investment or for lending purposes. Now, this is exactly what is created and the issues surrounding FTX, where they existed from. They had customer funds invested through their affiliate firm called Alameda Research. So what is proof of reserves and why is it useful? The aim at the transparency in the industry is referred to as proof of reserves, or POR, and serves to do exactly as its name suggests: to prove that funds or assets held by users of the exchange are backed exactly on a one-to-one basis, and sometimes even held in excess as reserves by an exchange, much like a bank. POR is, in its simplest terms, an audit method which is gaining popularity quickly in the digital asset space and fully ensures that any custodian, so exchanges in this case, have enough funds to pay back all customer funds at any point in time. Now, in theory, if this is done, this should eliminate the risk of any type of bank run event that we saw with FTX or any of the other crypto rug pulls in the past. And during these, liquidity dries up and not all funds can be returned to customers. That's what we're trying to avoid. So now let's take a look at Merkle trees, and these play a part in proof of reserves. In order to accurately and securely determine proof of reserves, and tampering of final figures and balances is impossible, exchanges have started using what's referred to as a Merkle tree. The single mission of the Merkle tree framework is really quite simple. What it aims to do is encode blockchain data more efficiently and, of course, securely, which is the whole purpose. Their main appeal stems from their obscure nature for storing blockchain data and allows for full protection of privacy, which is another concern in the industry. So as a quick example, let's take a look at Bitcoin's blockchain and how it works with Merkle trees. So Merkle trees make up the basics of how blockchain hashes, as they're called, are concatenated or put together, and how these combine to form a block in the blockchain. Every single transaction that takes place on Bitcoin's network becomes part of a hash and is concatenated with other transaction hashes. This then forms the base of the Merkle tree, or the very ends of it. We'll see an example in a second here. Concatenation happens many times, and all these hashes are put together, with individual hashes of transactions at the bottom of the tree, as we mentioned, as the leaves, and the finalized block, or big chunk of transactions that is posted to the blockchain at the top of the tree, also called the root. Sometimes a block can contain up to 500 distinct transactions. And here we can see an example. So Investopedia provides a pretty nice visual of the Merkle tree framework, and this is used essentially in all cases where it is looked at. So you can see the leaves here at the end and the root there. So now let's talk about exchange transparency. So now, using Merkle trees, they're useful in proof of reserves validation, and this is because they do not require the entire blockchain to be downloaded locally in order to look at transactions. Rather, it's simply the block of interest that we're looking at that is downloaded and audited, and this is usually the most recent block that's made. Now, for the purpose of audit, in the case of a crypto exchange, and when they're holding customer funds, Merkle leaves actually contain transaction level data linked to the total asset balances of the exchange, and this is the total in the exchange's accounts. So all of these transactions add up to those totals. The balances of any customer linked funds are then linked to unique, what are called hash IDs. So these are unique identifiers, and these are anonymous and can only be provided in a confidential manner to the proper customer to which they belong. Now, the total customer funds and exchange account totals can be found as the root of the Merkle tree, or as the block in our example with the Bitcoin. In this way, the two can be compared on a large scale to determine if deposits are in fact held at the suggested 1-to-1 ratio and they are fully backed. Now, the security and transparency of Merkle trees ensures that any alterations to customer account balances, which is very important here, that any changes are recorded and reflected in the root, and they cannot be faked. So now we can put this all together. Depending on which exchange you are currently using, users can verify that their account balance is fully backed by reserves 1-to-1 by either checking their unique hash ID that many exchanges provide and other user credentials with affiliated audit agencies. So they can make a login using these IDs and check the audit agencies. And they might even be able to verify proof of reserves themselves if more technologically advanced by using programming languages to verify their balances on the blockchain firsthand. And this is pretty simple code to implement. So it might be for the more technologically advanced. Various exchanges have already employed proof of reserves as of recently, and even in the past few months, given everything that's gone down with FTX. And exchanges like Kraken are doing semi-annual POR audits, and similarly, ones like OKX that appear to be employing ongoing audit efforts at all times. By implementing the use of Merkle trees, as well as POR through audit mechanisms, users can finally find a little bit of peace in an additional security measure that has been put in place to protect their assets. But of course, there are still some obstacles in place here that we need to get around. But that's for a future video.